The time has come, the snow has melted, spring is in the air, and it is time for the sound of big fat dingers to grace our TV screens. As a new year full of hope for some and coping for others, the MLB finally returns after a long winter since football has ended. What has changed over the winter, and what can we do to prepare for the inevitable labor strikes that we will head into after the Dodgers win their third World Series in a row? We're going to start with the Mets skis, and as a fan of the team, the Mets offseason was a rough one. Watching your franchise home run king depart just the year after is rough. They replaced one of the best closers in baseball with Luke Weaver and Devin Williams, shipped off Brandon Nimmo, coming off one of the better years of his career, and traded Jeff McNeil for literal pennies. They let go of their future with the departures of Luciano Acuna and Brandon Sporat. Now, this would have been the worst offseason in franchise history if it wasn't for the late signing of Bo Bichette. The Mets also brought in Marcus Semien, Luis Robert Jr., and Jorge Polanco, and for the pitching, they brought in Freddie Peralta and Tobias Myers from the Brewers. They could, keyword could, have the best rotation in baseball with a studded young pitching core in Noah McLean and Joe Atong. Senga, coming off an injury-ridden season, hopefully returns to looking like the Senga of his rookie year, and David Peterson is an underrated round out to the rotation. I want to say so badly that the Mets are going to fucking blow this year. Letting go of the talent they had and comparing it to the Moneyball antics with a billion-dollar owner has been rough, but now that people are starting to think the Mets are going to suck, that means they have to be good. It's just how things go. Yes, they're going to have someone who has never played first playing first this year. Yes, everyone except Lindor is going to be playing out of position. Yes, the bullpen is one of the worst the Mets have trotted out in recent memory. Yes, Mark Vientos is still on the roster. And yes, I still cry myself to sleep thinking about that Pete Alonso left the team. But it's all about the Mets.
Baby, love the Mets. All right, baby, let's go. Get a home run, baby. Love the Mets. Let's go, Mets.
The Braves are the bigger if this season, in my opinion, over the Mets. They are the true boomer bust candidate in the East. I thought the injury bug plagued the Mets last season, but the Braves are already battling injuries before the season has even started. Ha-Sung Kim tore his finger, and Schwellenbach will miss a few months, but what the Braves did right was keep the core together and be patient, as Ronald Acuna is fully healthy for what has felt like the first time in forever, and Chris Sale's old ass leads a solid rotation, and the Braves actually spent money on bench pieces like Mike Yastrzemski and Mauricio Dubon. Additions to a woeful bullpen and Robert Suarez will also go a long way, as if the Braves can stay healthy, I don't see any reason why they can't win the division, as when the Braves get hot, they tend to stay hot.
Backlash.
Philly fans, I don't know how y'all aren't pissed at the offseason you just had. Yes, the Phillies technically won their offseason, keeping Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto around, but that's really it. I love the meme that is Nick Castellanos, but Adolis Garcia is Castellanos without the deep drive into right field. After watching the postseasons that Philly has had the past 2 years, how is there any faith in this squad to get it done in the big games? It's like they have a team of James Hardens. They have done nothing to warrant confidence in a trip to the World Series. The Phillies still have one of the best lineups in baseball, a solid rotation, but a bullpen that has been one of the weaker units in baseball over the years. Will I be surprised if they win the division again? No. But will I be surprised if they miss the playoffs? No.
On camera.
Wait, hold on a second! That's not gooning!
The National offseason can be summed up in the Mackenzie Gore trade, one that saw Gore join the Rangers. The Nationals get a haul of prospects, which the Nationals are, a young baseball team. The biggest changes have been in the front office with a new president of baseball operations in Paul Taboni, tough name. The Nats have pieces like James Wood, Dylan Cruz, and C.J. Abrams. The question is, will they ship them off like Gore for prospects? I hope not. Nats are in for another long year, but hopefully they get some more development from the young guys. They're exciting to watch.
And if the Bonnie Blue Bang Bus.
Finally, the Marlins round out the NL East, and similar to the Nats, they shipped off good pitching for prospects this offseason with the departure of Edward Cabrera and Ryan Weathers. The prospect haul they got does seem interesting with a lot of hype surrounding this Owen Casey guy. Should I be familiar with your game, my man? The Marlins were only 4 games out of the playoffs last year, and they won their personal World Series against the Mets at the end of the year. They still have Sandy Alcantara, which surprises me. I thought he was going to get traded last year, but maybe he'll get traded this year. Marlins fans can hate me all you want, but I don't really see any big improvement this year. They might take even more steps back, but the Marlins will always be that team that you need to beat to get into the playoffs, and you will lose to. But that's about it.
What was that experience like for you?
You don't know me, do you?
Huh?
You don't know me, do you?
Heading to the NL Central, we'll start with the Cubbies. The Cubbies are officially in win-now mode, as I thought they would win the division last year, but this year has to be the year. The biggest splash the division saw this offseason was the Cubs signing of Alex Bregman. They also made a move with the Marlins for Edward Cabrera to bolster the rotation. They got Amanga, Cabrera, and Horton. That's pretty nice. Only in the bullpen, they let arms walk like Kitteridge and Pomeranz, but they brought in Phil Matone and Holby Miller. Kitteridge was nice, so hopefully they can make up for it. They did trade one of the most hyped prospects mentioned earlier in Owen Casey for Cabrera, even signifying further that the Cubs are in a win-now mode. The Cubs have a deep farm system as well, featuring the top 100 prospects even after that trade, so we saw flashes from Matt Shaw last year, and they got even more like him down in the farm. This is truly a boom or bust season for the Cubs, as many names of the core are slotted for free agency next year. Amanga, Happ, Horner, Suzuki. Bregman should replace, if not be better than Tucker's bat. It all comes down to the pitching, especially the bullpen. Let's run back the 5-game masterpiece of the Brewers against the Cubs this year too. That was a banger.
Are you challenging me?
Speaking of the devil, I will not fall for this 2 years in a row, as around the league, there is an expectation that the Brewers will have a down year this year, as there's no way they'll be as good as they were last year, which is what we said last year. They traded their ace away in Freddie Peralta and shipped off a Rookie of the Year finalist in Caleb Durbin, yet I still somehow think they're better off for it. The Brewers acquired a slew of arms shipping off those studs, Anger Zerpa, but more notably Brandon Sporat, who I think is going to have a breakout year on the Brewers. He didn't even get a chance last year. And the departure of Devin Williams last year did not seem to hurt the Brewers at all with the emergence of Uribe and Trevor McGill. The Brewers have a pitching factory of their own with Brandon Woodruff and Jacob Mizorowski still here, so their rotation should be just fine. They kept most of the core together on offense, and I don't see any reason for the Brewers to not be good. Will they eclipse 97 wins again? Probably not, but there's no reason for them not to be in the hunt for the division.
Don't do it, Jack. Jack, it's not
The Reds head into 2026 almost seemingly in the same spot that they finished 2025. They brought home Eugenio Suarez, coming off a 49 home run season. They signed J.J. Bleday, which is a nice addition to a shitty outfield. And Terry Francona is being hailed as the savior of the Reds, with his return to managing after 2 years off from the sport, birthing the Reds their first playoff berth since 2020. Hunter Green needs help in the rotation, and that help might come in 26th ranked prospect Chase Burns and number 35 Rhett Lauder. The bullpen needed major changes that the Reds seemed to fail to accomplish, although they did bring back Emilio Pagan. The Reds are in for another year where they could sneak into the playoffs. De La Cruz needs to stay healthy, but the Reds are looking prime for a step back this year, so I don't think they spent enough money on the offseason. The Pirates might actually be good this year, led by an exciting rotation, Paul Sekenis, Mitch Keller, and the debut of one of the best rookies based on name alone in Bubba Chandler. I also like the addition of Gregory Soto. The Pirate rotation led the league in shutouts last year and was top 5 in WHIP with 1.22. They also hired Bill Murphy from the Astros, who may speed up this rotation's development. They also have the Don. Don Kelly is taking the reins for his first full season as Pirates manager. The Don is expected to be a front-runner for Manager of the Year, since somehow again the Pirates might be good this year. The Pirates attempted to bring in Kyle Schwarber this year, but got Ryan O'Hearn, Brandon Lowe, and Marcell Ozuna. Not exactly Kyle Schwarber, but all grandpas who still have that old man pop in the bat. I don't think the offense will be as bad as people think they are, as that young talent in the rotation will surely carry this team. And I like the Pirates to be a contender for the division this year for the first time in what has felt like forever. Rounding out the Central, the Cards officially blew it up this offseason, and it was a long time coming. They shipped off the disaster of a contract that was Nolan Arenado, and they got Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras out of here to the Boston Red Sox. These trades netted the Cards 5 prospects in the top 100, forefronted by J.J. Weatherholt, a possible Rookie of the Year prospect this year, and they also brought in my man Ryan Statenik, who I believe will be traded at the deadline for more prospects because Ryan Statenik is going to have a comeback season. At 30-something, he's got it. Oliver Marmol, after a solid first campaign in the league, seemingly looks to be headed out as the Cards skipper with his contract end looming at the end of the season. With a new head of baseball operations and Shane Bloom already in the building, I can only believe that Oliver's time is ticking. The Cards will probably be last in the division, and that's okay. They're on track for a better future, and we wish them good luck in this endeavor.
It feels like you still have a little bit of animosity there.
I'm evil.
Then, starting in the NL West, what is there even to say? Inevitable three-peat. The Dodgers have a lineup that is set to look like Ohtani, Betts, Tucker, Friedman, and Smith. They already have an amazing rotation with the possibility of Roki Sasaki returning to the starter position, and any problem that seemingly was wrong with the bullpen has seemingly been sealed by the signing of Edwin Diaz. If anyone gets hurt, it seems like they have an endless amount of serviceable players ready to hold the fort down. The Dodgers are run by people with capital reserves and pay their players in ways that no one else is trying to. Even if I feel that the signing of Tucker may mean little, as he is prone to extreme cold streaks, we saw that last year. Diaz may be injury prone, but hey, they may have that Russian tech from Rocky IV over there, as the Dodgers seemingly have everything. They seem inevitable, but we must pray that the Dodgers lose, or we probably will not have baseball next year. Remember when we had arguments about the Padres and Dodgers and who was better? Good times. The Padres were limited in what they could do this offseason as all these big-ass contracts given out the old-fashioned way, Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, and Fernando Tatis Jr. began to eat up the cap. They brought in Nick Castellanos for the league minimum. He still has some pop in the bat. There might be some drives to right field left for him. They re-signed Michael King, which was important for the rotation, pairing him with Nick Pivetta. Musgrove, if healthy and still the same after Tommy John, has a chance to bolster the rotation. They also brought in Griffin Canning, who was great for the Mets before the ACL tear, and he should return earlier in the season. Problem is the bullpen. With Robert Suarez leaving, the Padres are banking on Mason Miller to eat up a few late innings. They were sent packing early last year in the wild card. The pieces are still there for a postseason run, but it doesn't feel too different for the Padres this year. The Giants are heading for an interesting 2026, making moves in the offseason. On paper, seems that they check every box. Luis Arias joins the Giants, leaving the Padres and staying in the division. A solid 300 hitter rounds out a studded infield of Matt Chapman, Willie Adames, and Rafael Devers. The rotation looks great with the addition of Adrian Hauser. If Robbie Ray and Tyler Mahal can stay healthy, that is. The bullpen stays mostly the same, which is alright as they were one of the better units last year. I personally love the addition of Harrison Bader. With doubts he will repeat the offense campaign he had last year, I think he will be critical and a good add for the Giants. The biggest change for the Giants this year is the hiring of rookie manager Tony Vitello. Never playing in the MLB, never managed an MLB team. This is the equivalent of lying on your resume and getting the job. Sure, this has never worked out before or happened before, but hey, this might be good for the Giants. There could be a first for everything. Diamondbacks feel like the odd man out in the division. We know the Rockies stink, but it seems like the rest of the division had a way better offseason. The Diamondbacks brought back Merrill Kelly after trading him at the deadline and re-signed Zach Gallen, even though both of them are coming off career lows. The bullpen is still uninspiring on paper. Paul Sewald does not do much for me. The big headline for the Diamondbacks was bringing in Nolan Arenado in the offseason. Acquiring him only costed them $5 to $6 million, as the Cardinals will pay the rest of that salary. They continued the Unk philosophy, bringing in Carlos Santana. These former studs are in the twilight of their careers. I don't think they'll offer much value, but Arenado is still a great glove, even in his age. The Diamondbacks did keep their big three of Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, and Geraldo Perdomo together, so the offense should still be popping. I just don't see much from Arizona this year in one of the most competitive, if not the hardest division in baseball. It'll be interesting to see how they shake out with the rest of the moves this offseason.
I don't even think you really know what a bad day is.
And finally, one of the longest-standing pits of despair in the National League, the Colorado Rockies. The biggest win was the hiring of Paul DePodesta as president of baseball operations, even though he is arriving from a tenure with the Browns, so not a career of success. They brought in Jose Quintanilla, who has only seen his ERA increase over the years, and who knows how it will be in Coors. They brought in Tomoyuki Sugano from the Orioles, who I'm quite interested in as how he will fare at Coors after giving up 33 homers in 157 innings. It's only his second year in the MLB, and I'm curious to see if he can bounce back with the Rockies, as they need an ace for the love of God. Just give them something. Ezequiel Tovar is cool. He got some aura, one of the few bright spots of the Rockies. I like Brenton Doyle and Jordan Beck, another cool people with young guys with aura. That's literally all you can say about the Rockies. Another man I'm unfamiliar with is Charlie Condon. They also signed Willie Castro. Watch him for to hit maybe 20 homers this year. Lord knows what the Rockies could look like in 5 years, but for now, this season is looking like another one in the dumper. We head to the American League, and we'll start in the East, and the evil empire of the American League, the Yankees, have had an interesting offseason after Hal Steinbrenner came out saying the Yankees aren't profitable anymore, which is absolute blasphemy. Their offseason came to a screeching halt. They did everything they should have, though. They kept Grisham and Bellinger, which were the bigger wins of the offseason. Ahmed Rosario was brought back, and he's been solid in the pinstripes, and Goldschmidt is still alright for an Unk. They are banking on health this year with Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon hopefully returning for good a few weeks into the season. I myself tend to forget the crazy trade deadline they had last season with David Bednar, Ryan McMahon, and Camilo Duvall. They're still on the team. I know I demonized the Phillies for running it back with the same team, but it feels different with the Yankees. They actually have a chance to show up in the playoffs, unlike the Phillies. The Yankees are going to be good again. It all depends if they show up in the playoffs and if Aaron Judge shows up in the playoffs.
Thanks! What? I gotcha!
The Blue Jays are looking to capitalize on their trip to the World Series last year as they have continued to spend money this offseason. Bringing in Dylan Cease is a good add to the rotation. Even if you hate his ERA, he still eats up innings. They have also brought in Cody Ponce, who revived his career in the KBO and is expected to make an impact. They also signed Tyler Rogers, who is one of the best out of the bullpen today, so another great signing. The biggest loss for the Jays was the departure of Bo Bichette to the Mets. Bo, even though hurt for a major part of the season last year, was a critical part of the Jay offense. They look to replace him with Kazuma Okamoto, one of the many Japanese stars making their debut in the major leagues this year. They brought in Jesus Sanchez to fill a hole of the injured Santander, and Sanchez has been a solid WAR player for his career. If they can get healthy, Jays should be considered another World Series contender, as they brought everybody back that was on the team otherwise.
Every fucking week! Fuck, I hate my fucking job! Alright, man, cool down. Let's get some points here, damn it!
Unlike the Red Sox, as the Red Sox traded their franchise cornerstone last year and let Bregman walk this year, but somehow they're still pretty good. They have brought in Sonny Gray, still a Chad even in his age. Ranger Suarez was brought in on a lot of money, and if he's healthy, he will be great. The plus from their moves is they still have 2 top 100 prospects in Peyton Toyle and Connolly Early, who should contribute to the rotation at some point in the season. One thing the Red Sox are this year is deep. They have their young stars like Roman Anthony and Marcelo Mayer. They brought in depth with IKF and Andrew Monasterio. I might have said Mysterio, my bad. Contreras should still have a little pop in the bat, even though he's another unk. And even though Bregman is gone, they have brought in Caleb Durbin, who may be a younger and better option than Bregman. Red Sox are slept on a little bit too much as of who could come out of the division, as the ALE East is shaping up to be another slugfest.
Super Monkey Ball. Dude, you like Super Monkey Ball? Pim. Bro, I knew I liked you, dude. Come here, bring it.
The Orioles look to make strides to finally end their rebuild. The biggest splash was the signing of Pete Alonso, coming off some of the better years of his career, trying to prove he was worth the money he finally got from the Orioles. Look for Pete to have an MVP season. Pete Alonso, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, and Jackson Holiday. Those are some of the names that sound like a juicy lineup for the Orioles. The arms are a little shaky. They traded a haul of prospects and a pick for Shane Baz, who is searching for his 2024 form. Chris Bassett is a boomer bust, and they signed Ryan Helsley, who was coming off a rough stint at the Mets. But they did bring in Andrew Kitteridge, which is the one win for the bullpen. I think the Orioles are going to be a fun watch this year, and they have a very high upside to win the division. It's very interesting, the ALE East this year. But the one team that might be the odd man out, the last team, the Rays continue the Ray philosophy of winning a World Series this offseason, trading away Shane Baz and Brandon Lowe for a slew of prospects. They brought in a lot of names in the outfield like Cedric Mullins, Jacob Melton, and Jake Fraley. Ben Williamson is now a Ray, and he might be one of them ones too, so look for him. They look to await the return of Shane McCallahan from injury like many of their other arms. They also brought in Steven Matz, which is unknown if he'll be a starter or if he'll be coming out of the pen. The Rays returned to Tropicana for the first time since Hurricane Milton, and maybe that's the special something that they'll need to win in a very competitive division. Rays might be the odd man out this year, but if they can stay healthy, who knows?
Someone cooked here.
Then heading to the AL Central, we'll start with the Tigers, the team that everyone wanted to blow it up for funsies. The Tigers look to march deeper into the postseason this year, the biggest win being the retention of Tariq Skubal, setting a record $32 million in attribution. On top of this, the Tigers brought in Framber Valdez and brought back the golden boy of Detroit in Justin Verlander, who still has a little gas in the tank after finishing the year strong. Jack Flaherty is back, and this rotation looks lethal. The pen looks alright. Bringing back Finnegan and the signing of Kenley Jansen are positives. On the other side, Gleyber Torres is back, and big things are expected of Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson. They are awaiting the arrival, who may make the opening day roster, of one of the top prospects in baseball, and Kevin McCongle, another man whose game I'm unfamiliar with. The Tigers are another team that might have the best rotation in baseball, and the offense will be the story this year of either another insane collapse or the best team in the American League.
I want to prove to Germ there's no hoes in New Orleans.
There's got to be bodies in New Orleans, right?
Cleveland literally did what? Nothing. After a historic comeback built on the collapse of Detroit last season, the Guardians gave Jose Ramirez an extension. Great. They have young talent in Travis Bazana and Chase DeLauter, who especially have a chance to make the majors this year, especially Chase. Other than that, it's Stephen Kwan, Bo Naylor, Jose Ramirez, and Rhys Hoskins, who is unsure if he will even make the starting roster. That's rough. Hope the young guns are still nice. The rotation is alright, with Tanner Bibby and Gavin Williams still leading the charge. but the loss of elite gamblers Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz still looms over the bullpen. Cade Smith is still here, and he will have to step it up big this year. Cleveland is known for not spending any money, but that doesn't excuse a shitty offseason. I believe there should be major aggressions from the Cleveland Guardians.
He's like a YouTuber. He finds him young and he develops him.
Whoa! The sleeper of the division, the Royals look to roar back after missing the postseason last year. It's all about the health and their rotation. Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, and Chris Blubick only combined for 59 starts last year, and they need those guys to stay healthy this year. Noah Cameron has looked pretty good in spring training. They brought in Matt Strahan to the pen, which is a lefty that they need. Carlos Estevez is still bringing the heat out of the pen too. The offense is what interests me. They have a front runner in MVP discussions in Bobby Witt Jr. They inked Miguel Garcia to an extension this offseason, which is a win. Vinny Pasquiano has an amazing year in 2025, and Jack Calhoun might take some more steps. Why do the fucking Royals have the hardest names in baseball? Jack Cagliano, that's what I'm going with, might take some more steps forward this year. What's up in the air is the signings of Lane Thomas and Isaac Collins. The Royals had one of the worst outfields in baseball last year, so they'll need a comeback season from Lane Thomas, who hasn't had a WAR of over 1 since 2023. The Royals moved the fences in this year, though, so that could help the offense come alive with this change. The Twins might be heading for a free fall similar to the Cardinals, as a head of baseball operations since 2017 stepped away from the team 2 weeks before spring training. A new manager, new bench coaches, and on top of this, an owner who the fans demonized more than the Wilpons and Tom Pohlad is having a more hands-on approach this season. They're already down $50 million in spending from 2024. Yikes. Twins brought nobody in. Byron Buxton is one of the best players in the league when he's on the field, which he hasn't been in recent years. Royce Lewis can be given the same label as Buxton, a great talent that struggles to stay on the field. Brooks Lee and Luke Keaskel are solid. Josh Bell ended up playing first for the Twins this year. I don't know how that happened. The pitching staff is boom or bust, having a decent stretch down the line last year. Pablo Lopez just got shut down for the year, so Joe Ryan will serve as the ace for the year. They'll need big step-ups from guys like Simeon Richardson, who was solid down the stretch last year. The Twins will probably be sellers at the deadline. The long-awaited Byron Buxton trade might finally happen, and unfortunately, the Twins need to sell the team.
Is there any pain? I can't do it.
The winners of the Murakami sweepstakes, there is new life in Chicago and with the White Sox, bringing in one of the hottest national prospects, maybe since Ohtani. Munetaka Murakami joins the White Sox for 2 years on $34 million. There are talks about how Major League Velocity, ETC, stop the hate. This dude has a great swing and he's going to be amazing in Chicago. They traded Luis Robert Jr. finally after speculation of a trade at the deadline last season. He joins the Mets, and the White Sox get Luis Angel Acuna, who I personally am tremendously in on, and he never really got a chance in a stacked infield with the Mets. If his bat comes around, he'll be a great addition for the White Sox. They have young guys in Colson Montgomery and Kyle Teal who are going to be elite. They brought in some nice pen arms in Sir Anthony Dominguez and Sean Newcomb. Austin Hayes is an interesting ad. Maybe he gets back to his 2023 form. The White Sox were the worst team in the league last year if the Rockies did not exist. I don't think there will be an insane turnaround this year. The payroll is still under $100 million, and I think they'll be very fun to watch because of the great play on the field, or because they suck as bad as they did last year.
Team in franchise history.
Finally, the AL West will start with the Mariners, and they have brought back the most important pieces this offseason, most notably inking Josh Naylor to a 5-year deal to keep him in Seattle. The departure of Jorge Polanco was replaced with Brendan Donovan, who I think will be a better fit for the Mariners. The Big Dumper and Julio Rodriguez are still here. They also have a top-ranked prospects like Cole Young expected to contribute eventually in the year. The rotation is deadly with Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, George Kirby, and Bryce Miller. If they all can stay healthy, it'll be a hard rotation to deal with. The pen is still one of the best in the game, led by Andres Munoz and Edward Bardado. Mariners seem to have done everything right to put themselves in position to win the division once again and to hopefully get over the hump in the championship game.
Once a proud show.
The former villain of the MLB, the Astros are like the Chiefs coming into this year, missing the postseason last year for the first time since 2016. The rotation was shaken up with the departure of Framber Valdez. Hunter Brown looks to continue his dominance from last season, The Astros were part of the Japanese sweepstakes this offseason, bringing in Tatsuya Imai, who should be a very good fit for half the price of Valdez. They also brought in Mike Burrows, who had a sub-4 ERA as a rookie, so he could be a crucial addition as well. Christian Javier and Lance McCullers are shaky since they are made of glass. The offense is mostly the same, with their biggest acquisition coming at the deadline last year, bringing Carlos Correa home. There are rumors that the infield is jammed, with Paredes, Correa, Altuve, and Pena all needing time on the field, and they may have to opt to trade Isaac Paredes, but Minute Maid Park is the perfect stadium for Paredes to hit in, so I think they might just DH him. There may be some more moves to save money by the Astros, as they've already shipped off Jesus Sanchez, but the Astros should still probably be lingering around to be competitive this year.
Hey,
2 seasons removed from their World Series ring, the Rangers search a return to the postseason this year through moving on from remnants of that World Series winning team. Marcus Semien was sent to the Mets for Brandon Nimmo, who has found some extra power in his swing last season. Adoldis Garcia and Jonah Heim were allowed to walk over the offseason after poor 2025s. Texas still has talent. Corey Seager is elite, and Josh Jung had a great 2025, but they also got young studs like Wyatt Langford, who was raking last year, and Evan Carter, if healthy, is still a good piece. The Rangers' rotation is in need of some help, which they got through a trade for Mackenzie Gore, who they sent a haul of prospects off for. Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi are 2 of the best pitchers in baseball when healthy. They lost top prospect Sebastian Walcott to Tommy John surgery, so he's probably done for the year. Jack Leiter looked cool for a rookie last year, and Kumar Rocker looks to live up for that first-round pick still. The bullpen lost Sean Armstrong and Holby Milner, but Robert Garcia, Alexis Diaz, and Chris Martin are still here. The Rangers should be competitive if they can stay healthy, but that's the big if here. Health.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
The A's still search for their home, waiting 2 more years for Vegas to be ready. Does an increase of $16 million in payroll shake the Moneyball label, as the Athletics were one of the better teams down the stretch last year, and to capitalize on that, they have inked all of their young stars to long-ass contracts. People like Tyler Soderstrom, Brent Rooker, Lawrence Butler, and Jacob Wilson most recently are all stuck in Athletics uniforms for better or for worse. And on top of that, the breakout of Nick Kurtz last year makes this one of the most exciting young cores in baseball. Shea Lanagears is still here, and he is still a frickin' stud in a weak catcher league. They also brought in Jeff McNeil, who could serve as a solid third baseman while Max Muncy 2.0 continues to develop. The problem is they play in a minor league ballpark, which is made pitching hell, as Luis Severino definitely misses pitching in Citi Field. Jeffrey Springs is still here. That's about it. They may receive reinforcements from the farm and Jamie Arnold and Gage Jump, sick name. The bullpen also needs some help, and ownership allocated no money to address this. The A's are another team that should have some fun highlights coming out of them, but they need to get their asses to Vegas. This is going to be another long year.
Whether you're coming or you're not coming here, you want your stance and your posture to be the same, and you got to hold it to the last second. Yeah, so if they think you're coming.
And finally, the Angels seem to continue their journey to drain the prime of Mike Trout, as they have been doing something this offseason. They have brought in former player Kurt Suzuki in to manage the team on a 1-year contract, which is pretty weird. They are moving Trout back to center field after moving him previously, citing injury concerns, and they did this because Joe Adell could not play center field, which in turn their best defender in the outfield would have been Taylor Ward, who they traded. The disaster of Anthony Rendon has finally ended, as he's finally done what he's wanted to do this whole time: retire. The pray is that Grayson Rodriguez can stay healthy. Jose Soriano was nice last year, and Yusei Kikuchi has some aura. With a team made up of mostly players over the age of 30, the Angels need to pray that they don't ruin Christian Moore next. I'm just so sorry for you, GOAT Mike Trout. We pray for you, man. So how will this shake out based off all this information? Let's do it. In the NL East, we go Braves, Mets, Phillies, Marlins, and Nationals. I got the Braves winning the division, a little flip from last year. In the Central, we got the Cubs, Brewers, Pirates, Reds, and Cardinals. Then in the West, we're going Dodgers, Giants, Padres, Diamondbacks, and Rockies. And that would have the playoffs looking like Dodgers at the 1 seed with the bye with 102 wins. Braves at the 2 seed with 93 wins. They clinched the bye. At the 3 seed, we got the Cubs with 92 wins, the division winner. At the 4 seed, we got the Mets with 91 wins for the first wild card spot. We got the Giants with 88 wins for the second wild card spot. And for the last wild card spot, we got the Brewers at 87 wins. That would leave the Pirates just outside of the playoffs, 4 games behind, the Padres 5 games behind, and the Phillies 7 games behind. I like the Pirates to almost get it done this year and almost make the playoffs, but I don't think they're there just yet. But I think they'll do enough to keep Sakenis happy, And I don't think the Reds are going to be as competitive. I think the Pirates are going to finish above them in the division for third. I just don't think they spent enough money, and I don't think they're as good as they were. They got into the playoffs off a collapse last year. I think the Phillies are going to have the biggest turnaround at least I think one of the biggest turnarounds in history for the worse, as I think they're going to blow it up this year after they missed the playoffs inevitably. I just think the East got better and the Braves are healthy, so that leads to them being the odd man out. And the Padres, I like them, but that West is stacked, and I actually think the Giants are a better team this year, so I think they'll get in over them. And I think the Central is going to be very top-heavy with the Brewers and Cubs battling it out throughout the year for first place in the division. Then heading to the American League, we'll start in the East. We're going Blue Jays 1, Yankees 2, Red Sox 3, Orioles 4, Rays 5, Tigers 1, Royals 2, White Sox 3, Guardians 4, Twins 5, and then in the West, Mariners 1, Stros 2, Athletics 3, Rangers 4, Angels 5. And that would leave the American League looking like this. Tigers in the 1 seed with a 95-win season. Blue Jays in the 2 seed with a 94-win season. Then the Mariners in the 3 seed with 90. Yankees in the 4 seed with 91 wins. Mariners clinched their division. Red Sox in the 5 seed with 88 wins. And the Royals in the 6 seed with 86 wins. And I have the Astros missing the playoffs by a game, 85 and 77. And I think the Orioles are going to be 3 games out with 83 and 79. And I also think the Athletics are going to be close to 500. With 80 and 82. In the East, I think it's going to be the best division in baseball, the best baseball to be played. I got 2 90-win teams. The Red Sox are 3 wins off 90, 3 wins off 91. I like the Orioles a lot. I praise them. I think they're going to be good. I think they have a chance to even make the playoffs, maybe outplay the Red Sox if they play worse baseball this year. But the East should have 4 80-win and above teams. Sorry for the Rays. They have to get better. Central, I got the Tigers just blowing it out. They could be the best team in the American League this year. It's very possible with that rotation and if the bats come around. Royals at the 2, I think they're going to make the playoffs. People can stay healthy. They should make the playoffs. They're a very well-rounded roster. And the White Sox, I actually have them winning 76 games. I think they're going to finish in 3rd place above the Guardians and Twins. I think the Guardians and Twins are heading down a bad road, and they will be blowing it up this offseason. And in the West, the Mariners, 90 wins. I think that's not ludicrous to say. They should be on their way, hopefully, to the playoffs and the World Series if they can get over the hump. Stros, I think they're going to miss the playoffs by 1 game. I just don't think they're that good. Or not even that they're not that good. I just don't think they have enough pieces, a lot of pieces left, and they're getting a lot of help from young talent. And I actually like the Athletics maybe even to go over 500 this year or finish 500. I think the young bats and everything they've been doing over there is correct. They just need an actual baseball stadium to play in. And that would set up the playoffs to look like this. In the National League, Dodgers and Braves get the bye. It would be the Cubs versus the Giants in the 3 and 6 seeds. And then the other game would be the Brewers and Mets. Those are 2 pretty lore-ish division matchups, wild card matchups there. So I think that would be fire. And in the American League, it would be the Tigers with the 1st seed in the bye, the Blue Jays in the 2nd in the bye, and it would be Mariners, Royals, and Red Sox, Yankees. I mean, Red Sox, Yankees would feed families. Doesn't matter how many times it happens. And I think that's a very realistic scenario for what it could happen. You guys got to let me know. If you made it this far into the video, God bless your soul. I don't know how you listen to me rant and fumble this many names, but God bless you. And let me know down below if you agree, disagree, any comments. And yeah, have a wonderful day. And let's go hit some dingers.
Just retired. Car up top, 1 back.